Hello everyone, welcome to my tapping channel. Today we are talking about fear, about what you can do about fear. It's something that we don't like facing, we don't like feeling, yet it is a part of our lives. It is probably the reason why you are drawn to tapping in the first place, why you watch these kinds of videos in the first place. It's because fear is influencing your life in some way that is incredibly unpleasant to you. So we're going to talk about that today and what you can do about it. But before we do, my name is Sandra. I am the author of Tapping into Abundance, using EFT tapping and the law of attraction to change your mindset and turn your life around. And if you want to do just that, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. So fear is something that our brain is wired for. It is necessary for our survival. We need to have fear to know when to run from a predator, when to fight back, when to freeze. It's about survival. That's why we have it. Our brains are wired to experience fear and to go into fear. We're actually wired more for negativity than we are for positivity, which helps with survival in a very sort of primal environment. But in our modern world, it's actually hindering our survival. It's hindering our success, and it creates all of the dramas and the things that are going on in our life that we don't want to have going on in our lives. It's often the driving force behind what we see going on in the world, the wars, the greed of these big corporations, the tyranny that we see from governments and people who are in power. It's all driven by fear. And the way that we're controlled is through fear. Cult leaders use fear to control people. En masse, as in mass formation, a psychological concept that's very much about how the masses can be influenced by tyrannical governments and tyrannical people in power is through fear. And we've certainly had a lot of that going on over the last, for a very long time, but particularly over the last 4 years. So what is it about fear? It is a part of us. It's something we're wired for. It's also something that we're conditioned to feel more of. We're nurtured towards being more fearful. If you've had an upbringing where there's been a lot of trauma, then that's going to create a lot more fear and distrust in life. So you're going to experience more fear. You're going to go into fight or flight, freeze more often. And because of this, we become addicted to the chemicals of fear, so that when we're not feeling fear, we start to have like this withdrawal response. And we have to then think of something to be afraid of or look for something to be afraid of, even if we're not consciously aware that we're doing it. It's like if we're not afraid, then something's wrong. And the subconscious mind is going, something's wrong, you're not afraid. We need to be on the lookout for that next catastrophe. And we have all of this distorted thinking, like catastrophic thinking, for example, or overgeneralization, black and white thinking, those kinds of things. But what does fear do that actually stops us in our tracks in the modern world from really being able to live the life that we want to live and to be able to really progress towards a sense of joy and happiness in our life? From a spiritual context, love is seen as the opposite of fear. So that when we're in fear, it's very difficult to be in a state of love. So I apologize for any noise that's coming from behind me. There's all sorts of deconstruction going on next door. When we're in fear, we're not in that state of love, and what we're really looking for is to feel into that state of love, feel into what it feels like to feel like trust in the universe, trust in ourselves. And it's hard to do that when we've got fear there in our way. The people that I work with one-on-one for coaching, it's always to do with fear. I work a lot with fears. So if you do want to work with me, I do offer a free 30-minute clarity session where you can find out more about what's causing your fear, what sort of fears you have and how that's stopping you, and what you can do moving forward. There's a link in the description field below this video for how you can book a free clarity session with me. Or if you just want to go straight into coaching with me, that link is still a good one to use to have that chat with me, so we can talk about how I can help you overcome a lot of the fears that are holding you back and causing these next 5 things that I'm going to talk about. Number 1 is the fear of failure. Fear of failure is going to stop you in your tracks from trying anything that you really want to do because you're afraid you're going to fail. And all of the reasons why it's scary to fail could be anything from feeling that you're going to be, financially ruined, that your reputation's going to be ruined, what are people going to think, what's going to happen, what you might lose. All of these things go into fear of failure. But the truth is, failure is really common on the road to success. And most people who succeed at something have failed actually many, many times before they actually succeed. When you first started to learn to walk, you fell over more times than you got up and walked. It's actually how we learn, is through our failures. They're really lessons in what not to do or what's not working. That's all failure is. But in our schooling and educational system, we are definitely brought up to think that if you don't succeed the first time, or maybe the second time, then you failed and you always will. And that is just so wrong. So we think because we failed once or we failed twice that we have to give up, when really it could be that 101st time that you try something that you actually succeed. This is the truth of failure. So we have to be prepared to face the fear of failure. Approach it with love. Embrace the fear of failure. Embrace failure. When you do fail, embrace it and love it, because you know now that's not how to do something, and you can change it and do something else. Number 2 is the fear of rejection. So when we're afraid of being rejected, we don't put ourselves out there. We don't try to meet people if it's in a relationship situation. We might not be ourselves when we're meeting people or being with people. We might hide who we are. And so other people don't really get to see who you truly are, and it makes it very difficult for them to connect with you if you're not being yourself around them. I've certainly had this experience in my past where I've hidden myself out of fear of rejection, and I end up not showing those parts of myself that people would actually find endearing and actually like or feel connected to. And it's how it is. We're so afraid that they're going to reject us that we just put up this boundary, which actually ends up causing the rejection, because we're not truly being ourselves, we're not being authentic. Another way that you can deal with that is to understand that rejection is also on the road to success. Often we have to be rejected before we actually have success with something or someone. And to embrace rejection and to learn to love rejection, to love it, embrace it and love it. Number 3 is change. The fear of change. This is instinctive. Change to the ego could mean danger. So the ego likes everything to be the same. It doesn't like change. So this is something that is instinctive in us, yet change is inevitable. Nothing stays the same. This too will pass. Everything changes. Everything is in flux. So change is something that we avoid. We try to avoid change, and then we often end up in a situation where we can't avoid it any longer. We're not prepared for it, or it becomes totally devastating. Whereas if we went in the flow of it, in the first place, it wouldn't be as difficult. We'd be able to deal with the steps along the way through that change. Change happens, and we have to ride the change. So once again, learning to love change. Even if it feels awful, learning to love it, to embrace it, to go, yes, this is scary, I don't like it, but I choose love and peace instead. Success, the fear of success, is another fear that people have. And one of the reasons why people fear success is the change that success will bring you. It's the fear of, who will I be if I have that? Who will I be if I succeed? Who's going to get jealous? Who's going to get upset? Who's going to be offended if I succeed? we live in a world where often people around us don't really want us to succeed because they're not succeeding, or they're not perceiving themselves as succeeding, or they're not putting in the effort to change or succeed, and so they don't want to see anyone else do succeed either around them, because then that gets them feeling, I guess, guilty that they didn't put in the effort for themselves. And we can also be conditioned through our upbringing to not be better than other people, to not want success, to not try to achieve something outside of our family or cultural paradigm. So when it comes to actually having success, it means that you do have to step into another version of yourself. You have to become a successful person, the successful version of you. And you may not like to even think about who that successful version of you would be, because it wouldn't be the version of you that you are now. You have to actually be that person to succeed, and that means changing your perception of yourself. And there's that part of your ego that doesn't want to do that. It wants to stay safe. It doesn't want to become what it doesn't know, what it hasn't experienced, what it doesn't feel is safe. The hardest thing to do is to really embrace our full potential and reach our full potential, because we're terrified of it. We're terrified of who we're going to be when we become who we truly are, because we've been terrified of it. We've been told that we'll become bad people, that we'll become greedy people, that we'll become selfish people, when that isn't the case at all. We just become that version of ourselves. That's all, the successful version of yourself. You're still you still do you, but you're doing you in a way that brings you success. You're acting in ways that are bringing you more success, more joy. So when it comes to success, learn to love the success. Learn to love the feeling of, I'm afraid of who I will become if I change and become that person. Learn to love it. As in, embrace it. Hold it in your arms like you'd hold a child or a pet, and love it. Love what you're afraid of. Number 5 is fear of the unknown. This is instinctive again. It's not safe to not know what's going on. And this is one of the reasons why we have so much conflict in the world. It's the reason why we have racism. It's the reason why we have ethnocentricities. It's the reason why we have issues between men and women. It's because we don't know the other. And it's an instinctive part of ourselves to be afraid of others who are not like ourselves, as in not look like ourselves, or act like ourselves, or have similar cultural practices as ourselves, talk like ourselves, all of those things. There's an instinctive fear of the unknown, something that is different to ourselves. It's an ego thing, it's a survival thing. But in our modern world, it's not very helpful to be in that state all the time. We still need it to a certain degree, of course, but it's something that comes through in ways that's very, very negative in our modern world. And we have to understand that the unknown is a fact of life. Life is full of unknown situations, and we can't go through life knowing everything. So it's about learning to love the unknown, learning to connect with that part of you that's afraid of what it doesn't know, and to learn to trust in your higher self, to trust in your spiritual guidance, to trust in whatever you connect to on a spiritual level, whether it is a deity or deities, or whether it is your higher self or a higher mind, the universe, whatever it is that you connect with on that spiritual level. That connection that you have with that part of yourself, the knowing that everything is working for your highest good, that can create certainty. It creates the certainty that you are on your path, certainty that you are connected to something that is bigger than yourself, that will guide you through this unknown terrain, no matter how scary it is. That can be an element of certainty. But once again, we probably have programs and beliefs that tell us that we're not good enough to have that guidance, or that guidance doesn't exist, or that, that the universe wants me to suffer, or the universe doesn't want me to have it easy. All of these beliefs. These are things to change. These are things to work through so that you can embrace the unknown, so that you can learn to love the unknown. So there are 5 things about fear and how fear holds you back, and how through exercising love and opening up the heart chakra and embracing those feelings when you're experiencing them in your body is a way to connect to your spiritual self, your higher self, and your guidance, and to be able to walk through the terrain, walk through the forest, walk through the jungle, knowing that no matter what happens, you will be guided and you will be safe. Because that is how it is. When you can start to embrace that more spiritual side of yourself, that can really guide you through fear, and you can choose love instead of fear. So if you want to work one-on-one with me, book in for that 30-minute clarity session so we can have a chat about how I can help you with the fears that are holding you back and stopping you from truly being who you truly are and reaching your potential and truly going for that part that you're really afraid of, as in, I know deep down inside that I am like this person, that I could be doing these things, but there's a part of me that's scared that tells me that I can't, or if I am that person, that I'm going to end up bad in some way, or it's just simply not possible for me to be that person. That's what I can help you with. Book that clarity session, link in the description field below this video. I also have an online course called The Wheels of Empowerment, which I'm now offering at the time of this video for half price. This is a way that you can work with tapping and the chakras to remove a lot of the beliefs, including all of the fears that are at each chakra level that are stopping you from making more money or finding that special person in your life, from doing the things you truly want to be doing with your life and being who you truly are. That is half price now. There's a link in the description field below this video for how you can enroll in that course called Wheels of Empowerment. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I am Sandra. I will see you on the next video.